to work on that collector score. All right, let me call the gentleman of the hour that we are going to talk about for Dreamloops, which is a project that I actually bought a couple of not too long ago. And these guys are doing something that is kind of a little different, and I think super cool because we're seeing a lot of projects that are completely art based. And for these guys, they decided they were going to do not only something that was kind of artistic, but on top of that, it was also something that was, musically generated. So, gentlemen, good afternoon, hello, and welcome, and thanks so much for coming on. Can you give us a little bit of a background about who you guys are and what Dreamloops is?
I'll let
Hey,
Gabe go first. I'm Keil, and that is my partner, Gabe.
yeah, what's up? Thanks for having us on. Much appreciated. Yeah, a little background on the project before I go into my background, and Keil can talk about himself. But the project is Dreamloops, started by my team, which is BitElectro Labs. You can check us out at bitelectrolabs.com. And Dreamloops are basically a series of 10,000 generative audiovisual pieces of art inspired by retro computing and retro video gaming. So the art pieces themselves are 16-bit illustrations made by Keil, all pixelated and video game goodness. And the musical component to each dream loop is an 8-bit musical loop. And Keil can tell you a little more about that process. I think it's kind of amazing. Yeah, and the novel part about what our project does is that it's not just a digital NFT, but 1 in 5 dream loops can be redeemed for a physical piece of media, either a cassette or a vinyl record. So basically, you stake the dream loop for a period of 6 months, and it's much like staking an Ethereum token. Now, Ethereum tokens usually earn interest, if it's a staking token, for example. But in this case, you get a redemption token, which you send back to us, and then we send you that physical pressing of your NFT along with some other goodies that we're cooking up that we think will make our users happy. So
I
that's the project in a nutshell. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no. I love the fact that you guys are doing something different, and I think that we're coming to a point with NFTs where having that physical property is something that a lot of people are like, hell, like if we're buying this, like yeah, like we really, really want that. And for the Dream Loops, let me actually bring one of these up and just kind of play it. So for anyone that doesn't know exactly what they sound like, these are all completely different. So this one right here, I just brought it up. Some person selling this for $67, but this is number 9122 here. So you can hear how they kind of have a different tone, but it also has the graphical component. So just wanted to give you guys a quick kind of little reference on what exactly they are. But for the process and everything else, sorry to cut you off. Feel free to give us some more insight about kind of like how these are created and the idea was started.
Yeah. So the idea came from a few places. I'll let Keil give a little more insight there. But I have a background in crypto and blockchain. I've been working in the space since dating back to 2016, but I've been trading it since 2014. And I saw the rise of NFTs, with like the early crypto kitties and then the punks. And Keil and I, who've been friends for ages, he's also an old crypto nerd, despite being a professional musician. We're chatting about like what would we do? Like what speaks to us? Like I come from live performance and DJing. Actually, you could see my setup behind me
I
from my
love
home
that setup.
studio.
It looks so cool,
And,
man. It looks so
it's
cool.
fun. We streamed from here too. We did a crypto voxels party right before our launch, and it was all mostly happening in here. My screen's pulled up, but we did some pretty amazing stuff. So we were chatting. Yeah, what would we do? We wanted to do something musical. Keil's constantly producing, for his band, but also noodling for things that are near and dear to him. Which in this case, one of the things was chip tunes, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that and give some background on himself as well.
Yeah, so I play in a band called Starfucker. That's my day job.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm like constantly just writing, little bits of music here and there. And I really loved the generative aspect of NFTs. So one of the things Gabe and I were discussing, he was asking me what an NFT that I would do would be like. It was like, well, how do we bring that kind of programmatic randomization to music? So that was the big inspiration for me is how do we create, 10,000 individual tunes that are all different from each other. So I was really excited to figure that out. And my process for that was pretty much just writing a shit ton of music for several months and then, using this software library called Socks to randomly combine them to create all these different combinations. The imagery is all 16-bit, so 16 colors, and the resolution is 64 by 64. So it was just me drawing tons of little pixel drawings and then using some custom Photoshop actions to combine them, and then using a library called Gifsicle to combine them randomly. So that was my process. And it's all just, out of a love for classic video game music and the graphics and different platforms like the PC-98 or the Amiga or the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I love the way those graphics look. And I love just creating art in these like outdated mediums where you're restricted by a palette or, a number of voices as far as the music's concerned, because I made it all on a classic NES. So your options are limited.
Well, for the music and everything, and well, actually, let's start with the art first. How did you guys decide which pieces were going to be the rare ones and which were just going to be kind of commonplace?
Well, the rare items generally have animated foreground elements, so that kind of determined what was the most rare. Because creating an animated pixel element it's pretty time consuming. So for me, I was like, okay, I spent the most time creating these animated foreground elements. Those are going to be the most rare. Uh, yeah, so that was what dictated the most rare for me, was how long it took me to make those elements.
I think we had some happy accidents in there though too.
For sure.
Like Keil's mentioned this previously, but so there were way more pieces of art generated than we ended up releasing. So the cap on the collection is 10,000, but I think you ended up over 20,000 individual pieces, and then hand pruned ones that just didn't make visual sense. But somehow like there's like a few sort of vestigial artifacts of like backgrounds that are way different than the rest of the collection. Like there's one that kind of strobes that I'm really a fan of, and a few elements that only appear in one or two pieces. Now, despite them having the label as a common, for example, they're still, scarce within the actual distribution of the collection. So there's a few sort of random variables and pieces of selection that inadvertently created pieces that are now being more coveted by our user base and the like, and it's kind of fun to see.
It's entertaining seeing the things that people are like, oh wow, you got that hat, and it's like, oh, there were only like a few of those hats in the collection because I wasn't totally in love with them.
I
But
think
people
the
like
hats are
them,
neat.
so I
There's so
like
there's
them.
one that's a hat, and then it's a magic potion that people are calling purple drank because it's a like promethazine cough syrup, because it's a purple purple potion. We've been getting a kick out of that as well.
So one thing that you guys are kind of like known for in a way, at least in the NFT scene, is you guys had a drop that wasn't completely scuffed. There's been a lot of projects that have launched, and it's been, kind of rough being on the receiving end of them. So how did you guys go about entering this drop? Did you guys have some like crazy good devs with you? Was it just kind of, like explain the process for us? Because I'm not super techie, but I love to hear it.
Yeah. So I mean, me coming from a tech background and launching tokens before in the past, really, led me to look at and sort of audit the space and see what was working, what wasn't working. Like I won't name any specific projects. We all know what the disasters were in the preceding weeks, but a lot of those were caused by code bases or artifacts of functions in the contracts that lended themselves to excessive amounts of transactions being hung, or excessive amounts of gas fees being spent, only to result in the user never getting to buy something from the contract. So a couple of things we did, we did an internal audit ourselves. We have two really smart devs that are just keen on top of things, and we took simple approaches to launching what we intended to launch from a functional standpoint, while still adding some bells and whistles to it, like the unwrap process and the redemption process. But we also had an external audit from an auditing team. So whether or not you're user base or listeners know, but common practice in cryptocurrency, like dating back to 2016, 2017, and the early ICO days, was when you launched your smart contract with your ERC20 token, people wanted to know, like, did you do an external audit so people can verify that your contract does what it purports to do? And I feel like in NFTs, it's not always necessary, because with a lot of NFTs, they do one thing, they're a collectible, or they're this wonderful, nice piece of art or music, and sometimes it doesn't warrant a smart contract audit. Well, we wanted to make sure, hey, we're dropping a lot of something. A, it's going to cause network congestion. Can we be sure that this is going to go off with limited hitches? And B, there's an unwrapping component where the metadata is actually changed when a user decides to unwrap a Dreamloop from its packaging. We need to make sure that was rock solid, such that no surface area could be found where people could penetrate or hurt the contract or compromise the process. So went through a lengthy external audit, which also delayed our launch a little bit. We actually conferred with a few teams before we pulled the trigger on one that really seemed competent and had done a lot of smart contract auditing. A lot of it just speaks to the competency of our devs. So we are a small team, 5 of us total right now, hopefully scaling in the future, but we aim to do some really cool innovations in the space and not just collectibles that we put out there and then forget about. And we're still developing some new tools and innovations on top of what we've already released.
And did you guys know that you were going to sell out right away, or what was that like?
Man, no.
We did not anticipate that at all.
We did not. We saw
planned
it bubbling
for every contingency, but yes, we didn't expect it.
Yeah. We thought we'd sell a bit. Like, we thought, okay, we'll at least breach a couple thousand here and have a cool user base and do some fun new things with the further iterations of Dreamloops and Bitlectro. But like, in the last 48 hours prior to the launch, our Discord channels and our Twitter just went into an absolute fever pitch. And a lot of that is on account of our marketing and outreach guy, Jason Verners, who's done an incredible job at just getting eyes on the project. Like Silly Tuna was one of our early supporters. For those unfamiliar, he was one of the early crypto punk owners that sold one at Sotheby's, one of the Blue Aliens, for an incredible amount of money. But we came across him just because he's a music producer and really liked what we were doing, and he's a fan of chiptunes. And so we've been chatting with him since February, not knowing, what punks would become in the following months. And so we did the right outreach, even if it was inadvertent. I think people realized we were earnest and honest and trying to do a really fun new thing in the NFT space. And a lot of the biggies really latched onto it rather quickly, at least once their eyes were on it. So we did a lot of this with a very limited marketing budget, but mind you, we had some really, really effective guerrilla tactics at getting more impressions, more eyes on what we were producing, and it ended up being really effective. But in all honesty, we did not think it would sell out, and yet it did. Here we are. So really excited about that.
Well, that's all that really matters is the fun. But like, I think so. Hunter brings up a good point in chat here. He says, "Was nuts how gas went from 10 to 70 that day, all because of Dreamloop." So, what do you guys think is the bigger milestone? The fact that you guys made the Ethereum network go up, or the fact that you guys sold out?
We actually had a conversation about that after. We thought, man, like we actually kind of crushed Ethereum for a couple blocks there. Like, that's incredible. It also raises a lot of questions like, ooh, is this the network we want to be tied to perpetually? Mind you, Ethereum is going to have its updates, right? They're already making moves to change block sizing, et cetera, or potentially moving to proof of stake and producing other efficiencies with their improvement proposals. So I'm not entirely worried about that, but it was pretty wild that we were able to break the network for just a little bit. Not that we broke it, but we impeded its throughput. That was quite the milestone. So maybe say selling out is the bigger surprise, but the just slightly second to that is that we slowed down Ethereum for a few blocks. Yeah.
And Keil, what are you thinking about that? Or are you more happy about the fact that you guys sold out, or the fact that you messed up Ethereum just for a little bit?
The Ethereum thing was definitely one of the strangest things to me, because it really put in perspective. I always think of Ethereum as this like monolithic huge thing, and it's crazy that a little project like ours could bring gas fees so high. It made me start researching other blockchains quite a bit more, just like, who has the best throughput, who can handle the most transactions per second. But yeah, that was very, very shocking. I went to Las Vegas for the launch where Gabe lives, and we were hanging out in his office, just pretty much screaming, freaking out the whole day. It was shocking, to say the least.
Well, I love that you guys have had kind of all the success with it, but now that you guys have dropped this 10,000, are you already thinking, hey, we want to do like another drop, or are you kind of more focused on, okay, we still have a whole bunch of people that have kind of the unwrapped ones, and we're going to wait until kind of those sell out, or what's kind of the thought process with this?
Yeah, we've got a timeline and a roadmap we've been cooking up internally.
Mhm.
Definitely not going to drop something else next weekend, right? Or anytime June. But since the beginning, the idea of the project was to be, Bit Electro Labs is the company, Dreamloops is the first release, right? So it's audio visual. So we're sort of treating this like sort of like an NFT record label, if you will. We're not a record label per se, but we're sort of an NFT collectibles company that is releasing audiovisual NFTs with a redeemable component. So one of the things we're looking to do is onboard subsequent artists. We already have a
Ooh.
backlog of people that we're interested in. So there'll be different series, right? It's not going to just be pixel art with chiptunes. It might be something that's more vector based or Illustrator like, or even a painting with a different style of music. So there will be subsequent releases from Bit Electro that aren't Dreamloops specific. But then along with that, we are innovating on top of the Dreamloops model as well. So we've got a couple mechanisms that we're looking to bring into play that will actually bring some value to the commons and bring some demand for the commons into the collection. So I know a lot of people are bummed out. They buy a couple and they're like, oh man, I didn't get a cassette or I didn't get a vinyl. Fret not. We're going to find something interesting and unique that you can do with those very soon. It's going to require a little bit of a development lift from our devs, but we're already timelining and scoping that, and I think that's going to be a fun project too that everyone's going to be excited about.
So
And I'll not, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just
Sorry.
gonna say. So in essence, this like first one is the genesis because we're seeing this common pattern throughout like the entire NFC scene where it's like, okay, if you do a drop, you say it's the genesis, and then everyone's kind of like harping, hey, we want utility, even though it's like, hey, like 9 times out of 10, you're supposed to like enjoy the NFT. But we're seeing a lot of projects, as you're mentioning, where you're giving extra value to the people that do buy kind of your first edition. So is that kind of your outlook? Did you think of having this extra utility ahead of time, or once it sold out, you were like, oh, okay, hold on, like let's try to work on providing something extra now?
Some of column A, some of column B. I think that if you're a team that produces 10,000 of something and it fully syndicates, your community buys it up. I think there's some ethical imperative there to drive some additional utility, especially now that you've got the capital to do so. So I had things that I'd envisioned building that were contingent on us having the capital to build them, right? You have to pay for developers, you have to pay for hosting, et cetera. You have to, compensate Keil for his time to develop some wonderful pixel art that took, hundreds of hours to draw across many months. So now we're in a position where we can really build some cool stuff. So a lot of these ideas that I was forecasting and sort of prototyping mentally, we can now actually put into action. I'm a big fan of NFTs that aren't Ethereum specific. Like a lot of the cool functionality that I really enjoy can be found in things like Aavegotchi, Zed Run. Those are on Matic. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's more efficient. Once you onboard your user base to it, it's very easy to use. Not promising anything, but right now I'm heavily exploring some potential cross-chain things and potential projects that we could spin off that are Dreamloops derivatives and Dreamloops adjacent and integrated into Dreamloops that might exist on the Matic network. So without spilling the beans, that's what we're looking at right now.
No, that's awesome. And then so we have a user in the chat, Miyuski says, I'm waiting for my cassette. Could you share some plans about redeemable content? When, where, how?
Yeah, so well, the current redeemable setup is basically a staking mechanism where if you've got cassettes or vinyl, it takes 182 days in the same wallet address. The moment you unwrap it, the counter starts, and then we drop an ERC20 into your wallet, and at that moment you'll be able to redeem them. We'll have the vinyl on hand, the cassettes on hand, as well as some other things that we're giving to our users that have those redeemables, and then it'll be shipped right to you. Regarding the commons, which I was just talking about, there's going to be some mechanisms in place. That's what we're going to release on our roadmap sometime in the next couple weeks. So there'll be a timeline for when that's going to occur, but we think our users will be pretty excited about it.
All right. Well, I'm pretty excited for that coming out. So I actually have one. I need to bring it up on here for my OpenSea account. We do have some that we're gonna actually unwrap here live in a little bit, guys. So that will be super fun when we get to that. But there was one because I bought a couple of them. I ended up selling a few of them, but the one that I unlocked is actually like my favorite one, and I've been thinking like I want to integrate it into my like intro song or something somehow. So for you guys, I believe you also said that everybody can use the music however they want. There's no like copyright restrictions or anything. How does that process work? Do you think that adds extra value? Because we've seen some projects, you know, make that claim, but then it ends up not being reality once they like talk to lawyers and all this. So can you kind of just walk us through that process?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
yeah, the owner of an NFT gets a Creative Commons license, so they can use the contents of their NFT, both the music and the imagery, in any way they want, including commercially. So, yeah, say you have a YouTube stream or a Twitch channel and you want to make it your theme song, you can do that. Say you want to use it in anything, really. That's your right because you own the NFT. You have the Creative Commons license.
Love it, love it. Okay, cool. So
Precisely.
here's the one that I got, and I love it, guys. Sorry, you're not gonna be able to hear it unless you're listening to the stream. But this one is apparently like a rare one too. So the properties on it, the light blue sky, it's a 3% trait for that. The element, the Japanese prince, 1%. The Monstera leaves is a 0.53% element count of 2 per percussion beats. Beat 58. So. Keil, for like beat 58, or sorry, Gabe, this might be a question for you, but when it says like 0.67% trait, like how do like the beats break down, and that, like how do you guys know what the percentage is kind of across the board for all of this?
So there are 100 beats and 100 songs. So when you combine the beat with the song, you get a new composition. And since there's 100 and 100, multiply those and it becomes 10,000.
Okay, awesome. All right, so
Yeah.
here is the song in question. I think it's a banger. I'm not gonna lie. I think this one's a banger. So we'll let it play for 30 seconds here.
Turn the stream on. Yeah.
Yeah, this one slaps. I'm like a super huge fan of this. There's certain ones I've listened to that I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I love it, but certain ones are really, really good. And then we're also seeing some people buy ones that are more rare. And I don't know, like for the rare ones, did you guys make sure that like the sound is like one of like the better ones, or is it just based off of, you know, like the artist and or sorry, the art component and everything?
So the songs are more of an even distribution. So the thing that determines scarcity the most is the redeemable quality as well as the visuals. So there have been some happy accidents where some of the songs that are more popular happen to have gotten paired with some of the visuals, but that was completely randomly assigned. It was quite the process to even produce 10,000 pieces of music, and then to triage them to specific rare visual elements would have been another level of hundreds of hours for us to to make some combinations, and we wanted it to be more random in that distribution. So no, that it wasn't intentional, those pairings, but it's kind of interesting to see which songs are becoming popular within our community and the like. I have my own favorites. Like ever since I was hearing the early demos, there's ones that I'm like, oh yeah, this is like level 9 in a Mega Man, not level 9, but this is a particular page or stage in a Mega Man quest or something like that. Like, oh, this reminds me of Metal Man, or this reminds me of an old Dragon Warrior theme, etc. And so I have my own biased favorites after going through the collection.
Yeah.
And Keil, any preferences on your end of any ones that you kind of like so far? Do you like, because it is something that's cool where like every one that you open is something different, and you'll tell right away like whether you vibe with it or not. And I even put in an offer on one that I click because in a way it feels like it's hard to filter just because everyone is so different. You know what I mean? But for you, have you noticed any ones that kind of like stand out at all?
Oh, for sure. I mean, every artist has their songs they prefer over others that they write. A lot of these songs are like demos that I've written for my band Starfucker. Some of them are like 8-bit renditions of songs that Starfucker's already released, or I've released under different names. I've got like weird little side projects that I do stuff on. But obviously, for me, my favorite songs are the newer ones, and some of those actually might get turned into Starfucker songs in the future, which I'm pretty excited about.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Gabe, I can't stop looking at your turntable and that whole setup. It looks so friggin' clean, dude. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Right now, it's also covered with like PlayStation controllers, but you can kind of see my my setup. Yeah, I've got like a big Pioneer mixer. I've got my turntable, a couple studio monitors, and then a launch pad, which I primarily use for Resolume Arena to trigger like video clips when we're doing streams and stuff. Well, another mini mixer. And then it extends out the wall, but yeah, it's it's fun. I come from live performance myself, mostly as a DJ. Did a little remixing. I'm not nearly as talented musically as Keil is, but I like
I'm actually
to
at
dabble.
my studio too. It's a total
shit,
wreck in here,
okay.
but you can see some of my synthesizers in the
Keil's is more
background.
impressive.
It's yeah, I've got my drum set back there, and yeah, it's a total wreck in here. So I'm not going to show you too much, but I also have all my gear here.
That's awesome. And Keil, Ray Stinger is asking here, how do you guys come up with the band name?
It actually was like a zine. A friend of Josh, our singer, his friend used to have a zine called Starfucker, and that's just where it came from. A lot of people ask, like, "Oh, is it from the Nine Inch Nails song Starfuckers Inc.?" No, but I'm a Nine Inch Nails fan. Josh, not so much.
All
I
right,
do
so
like Nine Inch Nails.
for the Dreamloops here, because there are some ones that are still available for the Unwrapped, and you guys are gracious enough to give me a couple of these ones where we can kind of open live. So how does it work for unwrapping one of these if you get it? We just go to Dreamloops and go on the site, and that's it?
Yeah, so you go to My Dreamloops on our website, which is bitlectrolabs.com. It's going to have you connect to MetaMask. So yeah, we've got a few in your wallet there. You can click on any single one. I did just check Etherscan. Gas rates are astronomical, but we can start the process. It'll probably take a couple minutes to unwrap. When the network is not so inundated with requests, it usually only takes 20, 30 seconds. But you click, yep, so we've got your wrapped Dreamloop. You're clicking unwrap token. It loads up this cool 3D environment that Keil designed in conjunction with our
in
Joshua,
Maya and Blender.
our developer Joshua, yeah, and they made a really cool thing. And you can kind of click and drag this a little bit. We sort of lock the camera angle so people don't go snooping too much. But
Whoa, hold
after-
on. You can move this. Yo, that's crazy
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I had
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea. Oh
yeah,
my god.
we tried to make it super browser friendly. Like there's even like more elements we included, but the more elements we included, the more it would bog down slower machines. So we stripped a few things out. But yeah, we're exploring these funny spaces to do new things with NFTs, and hopefully for subsequent releases we'll have new 3D environments and integrations for that type of thing. So
Yo,
yeah, I'm glad
so
you discovered
cool.
that.
I can't believe
Yeah.
that, dude.
It's
That makes it so much better.
Yeah, those are full 3D. Yeah, like each element is there and placed in the environment, which is pretty dang cool. Yeah, and then eventually, once the network confirms
Yeah,
your
we're waiting
transaction,
on
which might take a minute,
Ethereum generally.
you could probably speed it up in your MetaMask. Not that you want to waste the gas. I just checked, we're up to like 45 Gwei. But
We're
it'll appear on the screen. It'll give you a little prompt, click to hear audio, and then it'll show you Dreamloop on the. That's a Commodore, right, Keil?
Yep, Commodore
Yeah,
64.
Oh, I just went through. I just had the ding.
All right.
All right.
Click to
let's
show
give it a
screen. All
moment.
right. Here we go.
All right.
I gotta turn it up.
Oh, nice.
Heyo.
Is that a redeemable? I don't think so.
But
But
it's
it
common.
is a rare common. Yeah.
Wait,
One of my
how
favorite
do you
backgrounds,
guys
though.
tell that already? Oh my god.
So I'm noticing, like, I don't know if I've seen a ton of the large Ethereum with another single element. So it's not the rarest, but it's also combinatorially, it's not a super common one. We could check on like rarity tools and see like where it actually falls. Some of that I'm still figuring out actually, but
The
it's
ending of
exciting
that
to
was
see.
really cool. The ending of that was probably like one of my favorite parts. The way that it was like kind of like I don't know if we call it like a drum solo or whatever to end that off, but that was absolutely sick. Okay, so for the properties, alien texture, element emerald, we have the rose in there. Beat number 81. It's not redeemable. Son of a gun. That's okay. Song title
Yeah.
New 2. I don't know if that's a League of Legends reference, but if it is, cool. Scarcity and then the common. But you guys are saying that the common, like, are you guys seeing some people list commons and you're thinking, hey, like, you might be surprised what we're coming out with?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there will be utility specifically for the commons. I mean, there's obviously utility for the redeemables as well, and they'll be included in what we're going to release. But it'll make the commons more enticing to people outside of their just general collectability, which is going to be neat. So that being said, like there's subsets of the commons that people are going crazy for just because of the element counts, and the single elements on the foregrounds are highly desirable. Like some of my favorites are like the plaster bus just floating in space with the cool environments behind them. Yeah, anything that's a single element or anything that's a 5 element seems to be desirable right now, which is really cool.
Love it. All right, I forget which one I just opened, so I guess I have to click like one and just hope that it wasn't the one I just opened. All right.
Yeah,
we're gonna.
sometimes OpenSea takes a second to refresh the metadata.
Yeah, we pull
that
from
is
their
okay.
API, so no.
All right, we'll wait for this one to go, but this is super cool. And guys, if you're just tuning in for the first time, we're talking with Gabe and Keil. Sorry, am I saying that right, Keil?
Keil.
Keil. Damn it.
Rare
Keil
name.
and Gabe.
It's a weird one. It's a weird name. Thanks, parents.
And these guys created the Dreamloops. If you guys were around the other day, this was a project that ended up selling out instantly. One of the few projects that also didn't really have, too many issues on their launch, and everything went pretty seamlessly. So just for anyone that's kind of tuning in late, can you guys give us a quick little background again about yourselves?
Yeah, so my background, I've actually been in cryptocurrency for 5 or 6 years, starting a couple of companies dating back to 2016. Live musician, well, live DJ, I guess. I've been doing that for 20 years. I also have a PhD in cognitive psychology with dissertation work in behavioral economics. So, marketplaces and human decision making are in my wheelhouse as well. But yeah, so I've been working in the fintech space for about a half a decade now, actually, which is not light years, but which is like centuries in cryptocurrency timelines. But yeah, Keil, you can intro yourself.
Yeah, I'm just a longtime crypto nerd, but also a musician and digital artist. I play in the band Starfucker. That's my job, and I've just been doing pixel art since I was a wee child in DOS, and making music since I was 12. On computers, everything on computers. So yeah, it's just I'm into NFTs because it's a confluence of tech and creativity, and it's one of the coolest art forms. I feel like it's combines everything I love, just everything that is nerdy.
So while we're waiting here for the Dreamloops to go through for the unwrap, and I just wanted to ask you guys kind of your general sentiment or viewpoint of the NFT scene right now, because it seems that we're having a lot of art projects come out similar to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where a lot of things seem to be doing that exact same model, and a lot of people are finding success. And obviously it seems that almost any NFT that's kind of this generative thing, even though obviously you guys are putting ample time behind it, are doing really, really well. So what's your thoughts on the NFT scene right now? Is it hot? Are we potentially kind of like at the top of things right now? Do you still think we're super, super early? What are your thoughts?
I definitely think we're early. Whether or not we're super hot right now, I'm not sure. Like things have felt hot the last couple of weeks, right? Like we had the big sort of boom in February, March, and then it sort of cooled, through April, May. And now I'm seeing like a lot of really cool projects, whether it's Bored Apes, or I was really excited by the bonsai trees. Art Blocks is still doing a lot of cool stuff lately. Like I still see really cool projects consistently that I ape into and that I'm collecting and trading. I kind of enjoyed the pirates that launched the other day with their ciphers to unlock the new pirates. I don't know if you were familiar with those, but I spent 2 hours the other day trying to unlock a cipher in between, answering messages on our Discord about our own project. And then I was like, this is exhausting. I ended up producing 4 or 5 keys that I couldn't I couldn't come up with one of their mystery pirates for. But anyway, no, I think it's early. I think maybe there are some overvaluations in the space and some other projects that are undervalued. I think we're still in sort of an early price discovery phase for a lot of this stuff. I do think NFTs are going to become more and more commonplace and acceptable as digital collectibles. like none of this is intrinsically new, right? Like, I'm a gamer, as you can infer by my headphones and the things we've been talking about. Keil is as well, and we've seen these digital marketplaces for digital goods for years. Now they were fungible, right, for the most part. I think about Counter-Strike skins markets, for example. These marketplaces are not new, and they went through a long period of finding price floors and price discovery and sussing out the scarcity, and then developing secondary tools and infrastructure for people to transact these things peer-to-peer. Now, non-fungible tokens have a lot of infrastructure already in place. Most of the volumes over at OpenSea, for example, and then we have our curated collections like Nifty Gateway. We're going to see more and more integrations, more and more applications that allow you to display them, more and more things that take them out of digital realms. Like there was a frame creator that's tweeted us out a few times in the last few days that's making some really great digital frames for displaying NFTs in your home. I think it's going to be more commonplace that just the average user, and we're all computer users, we're all mobile phone users, and most of us are gamers in some way, shape, or form. Even if you say, "Oh, I'm not a gamer," but I play these these mobile app games, and some of them will let me customize my profile with an avatar, for example. Like we're going to see NFTs creep into many of these spaces, right? Or even into into physical goods that we're already consuming. There's going to become more and more digital redeemable components to some of these things. So much like the cycles in cryptocurrencies that we've seen, dating back to 2010, 11, where it's boom and bust. Every time there's that another boom cycle, there's just so much infrastructure and innovation that you get along with those cycles. So right now, I feel like we're just maybe at the tail end of that first massive cycle of interest into NFTs, and it's going to go into sort of a dormant period of flat interest from a media standpoint. But meanwhile, all of us are here. We're still building. The collectors are still collecting. They're still giving feedback. They're still talking about innovations they want to see. Fast forward maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, we're going to see another one of these media cycles, and it's going to be like, holy crap, NFTs are here to stay. There's infrastructure. There's people collecting them. And people bring up ecological concerns with things like the Ethereum network. So much of that is being fixed or has already been fixed, or at least brought down to a level that's acceptable in terms of just the cost of digital infrastructure. Networks like Matic, networks like Wax, even the proof of stake updates that are going to come to Ethereum. Like all of these hurdles are going to be overcome while teams are developing things that break down the barriers to entry from a technological standpoint. Like I think we are so freaking early. Long-winded answer, but that's my
awesome.
take and forecast. I don't know if Keil
for
wants
sure.
to chime in there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of artists are starting to see the utility of NFTs. So you're going to see a lot more talent pouring into the space. And hopefully, we can help facilitate some of those new collections that are coming from some talented artists. But yeah, we're in the early stages of NFTs. I think we're still figuring out what the right model is for a good NFT, and there's a lot to be learned. And yeah, we're working our hardest to bring innovations to the space and just move it forward, and hopefully, yeah, help with that definition of what makes a good NFT.
Love it. All right, so I think we are up and ready to go here for the next Dreamloop. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let's go. No, I was ready to see the Dreamloop. I see that on the screen. I get to watch it, right? Like I don't get to open as many of these now that we've launched, but I got to open some in testing, like on the testnet, and now I see users
I opened
opening
hundreds
them.
on testnet, but not IRL.
And now it's like I like seeing people. I get excited to see other people pull good things. Like I have some buddies and we get in on Top Shot whenever we can. Then once people get packs, it's like everyone climbs into our private Discord and shares their screen, and we wait to open the Top Shot packs together. So this is that same sort of dopamine hit I get from watching people open those types of packs. So
all right, so
proceed.
I'm gonna play it, and then I'm just gonna shut up and let it go for a minute.
Cool. Yes.
Okay, so break it down. So for anyone's with the cassette tape, does that mean that it is one of the redeemable ones?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay,
exactly. So you just pulled the redeemable one. Yeah.
Dude, I had no
Yeah.
idea. I was like, everybody's excited. What's going on?
Yeah, I went, yeah, I got excited too. Yeah, that's cool to see, especially on the second pull, because your chances are only 1 in 5, and second opening, you had that luck and pulled the cassette.
Hell
which is
yeah.
exciting.
All right, huge banger. All right, let's go for another one here. Now they're loaded, so we know which ones are which. We'll
Good,
unwrap
good,
this
good.
one. And we'll wait for that one to go. But so we've had a couple of questions here in the chat. Sorry for making you guys repeat yourself, but somebody was wondering
Absolutely.
about some of like the utility and other stuff, because you mentioned earlier regarding the commons and that you guys are going to have anything, and it's worth holding even if you don't have one that's a cassette. Can you just give us the backstory again?
Yeah, so again, without spoiling too much, the more we answer this question, the closer I get to actually redeeming one of the mechanisms, but I am cogent of that, so I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, we're looking at some cross-chain integrations that will bring some new life specifically to the commons. So what it will likely involve is maybe a new collection or a new iteration that's going to be adjacent or related to Dreamloops, and it'll bring some new life to the commons in the collection. That's all I'm going to say for now. But keep an eye on our socials, our medium. We do email blasts too, etc. But we'll release like a timeline and an actual roadmap and forecast for how that's going to work out. Probably in a week or two, we'll start talking about that publicly and do some AMAs. But yeah, it's more than just. It's going to be more than just, okay, I've got the redeemable or I don't. There will be some new life breathed into the commons. Give us a little bit, because it takes some development, but it's going to be something cool, something the NFT space hasn't seen before, unless someone else scoops us to it. But either way, it'll be fun.
If there's anyone watching right now, by the way, if you guys have any questions for the two gentlemen on the screen, please let me know. And Ryan's asking, is there a burnable aspect to the project at all?
Yes and no. Well, I'm not gonna answer that yet. There kind of will be. Not something we've actually released yet that I'm willing to talk about. It relates to what I just sort of alluded to or hinted at, but there might be. I will say this regarding the actual redeemables. We do get a common question that like, oh, when you redeem the cassette, you have to send the NFT or burn the NFT. You do not. We're actually issuing a separate ERC20 token. That is what you send to redeem the NFT. You get to keep the NFT, but then it becomes no longer redeemable. It's still got its cool art, it's still got its music, but the redemption portion has been redeemed at that point. So you're not really burning the NFT. Yeah.
And Kaz is saying, is any cassette redeemable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if you find the cassette art, it will also have the redeemable cassette tag in the metadata. And then, in fact, there are some other cassette redeemables that do not have cassettes in the artwork. In fact, they have special artwork that's also rare. But all of the cassettes that appear visually are all redeemable for cassettes. Exactly.
So, in a second, show me how we're supposed to do the redeemable part or whatever, unless that's still a while away. But we got one more here, or actually a few more technically. But let's listen to this one, and then we'll go into some more details, guys. Oh, this one's a banger musically. Yo, okay, that one's actually probably one of my favorite ones so far with the purple. But regarding the redeemable aspect, you guys said that you had to stake this. So for the one that I have with the cassette, is there anything that I need to do, or are you saying that in the kind of coming days and weeks, there's going to be something where we're able to stake for the cassette?
Yeah, no, so the clock is ticking now. So the moment you unwrap in your wallet, the clock starts. The moment you transfer it, or let's say you buy a redeemable from the marketplace, the clock starts anytime it moves to a new wallet. So now that you've opened that, your clock is ticking. Soon, probably give us a month or two on that. We're going to launch the preview portal for the redemption. Mind you, no one's going to be able to basically redeem until about, what is it, November, December. December is 6 months from the date. So 182 days is the staking period. So there will be a portal on the site And basically, it'll prompt you to send that redemption token to us, and then we collect your details, shipping address, etc. If you want to use a pseudonym, that's fine. Everything's going to be tracked, in terms of uh, shipping and insurance and the like. And we do ship internationally. People have been asking us that question. We budgeted to make sure that anyone in the world who wants one of these can get one. So, yeah, that's what's on the horizon for the redeemables.
That's awesome. And so speaking of that, Ryan actually brings up a good point here. And is there going to be any kind of additional properties in the metadata or anything to show if a cassette or vinyl has already been redeemed? Because you said that we get to keep the NFTs, but if somebody's redeemed it, is there going to be a way of us telling like, okay, cool, I get to have this NFT, but I'm not going to be able to get the physical component of it?
Yeah, that obviously has to be changed, right? So one of the niceties of our current model, right, in terms of updating the metadata is that we have that functionality. So it'll basically be flagged, right? So once something has been redeemed, we'll be updating the metadata such that it will show to say someone who's looking on OpenSea for redeemables that, oh, this one it's not redeemable. It has the cassette, but it's already been redeemed. So yeah, that'll be flagged for certain, and we'll have probably some other provisions in place. We're exploring like other ways to like put that into maybe the name of the NFT as well in the listing, so that it's readily apparent to the user that, oh, I'm buying a redeemable that's already been redeemed, for example.
I've noticed that there's a fair few NFT projects out there that if they've found success or ended up selling out, that they've been almost immediately started partnering with other players. And I mean, Sandbox, an obvious one where you can see they're partnering with virtually everybody. Have you guys looked at any kind of like other partnerships within the NFT scene or been reached out to? And again, you don't need to tell me too much detail. I'm just kind of curious how it is from the creator standpoint.
Yeah, that's definitely within my list of to-dos over the next couple of weeks. We've received some outreach from a couple of projects already, and that's something we're trying to do. Without dropping any names yet, but I'm going after the big players first. I want the partnership with Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example.
Hey,
I want the partnership with Zed Run. Some of those might be out of reach to us. We are a small team. That being said, we've been near the top of the charts on the OpenSea rankings for a few days now. But yeah, that's definitely in the timeline. I have my own pet projects that I really like, that I'd like to integrate some partnerships with. So those, we've done a little bit of outreach there, and we're figuring out what the integration or touch point is. Some of it can just be promotional, right? In other instances, you can have touch points that are technology touch points or integrations or cross-chain stuff or cross-project stuff, swapping, etc. So we're exploring that, absolutely. Yeah. Historically with previous companies I worked for in fintech, they always become collaborative projects to some degree. Like we're dealing with bleeding edge technology here, even in NFTs, right? Maybe they're collectibles, but it's bleeding edge collectibles. Like the space needs to play nice. The teams need to play nice with each other. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that are kind of like cheerleaders for Project X or Project Y or Project Z. They're like, oh, I'm more of a Gutter Cat fan than I am a Bored Ape fan. But really, like there's room for us to all coexist and play together and integrate. So yeah, we're definitely exploring that. And if there's any projects that have had their eye on us and have your own interests in what we're doing, feel free to reach out. Jump in the Discord or shoot us an email, admin@bitlectrolabs.com, and I'd love to have those conversations.
All right, so we got another one coming up here, so I'm going to shut up, and we're going to listen to what the next tape reveals. Another cassette. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Nice. My stream's a little delayed. Now I'm seeing what you got.
It's luck. Love it.
Not bad at all. All right, so I think there's one more that I have here to redeem. So while that's going on, if I can get you guys both to answer this, 5 years from now, where do you hope Dreamloops is? What are you guys partnering with? What does it look like? Are you guys still just doing vinyls and cassettes? 5 years, what does Dreamloops look like?
Wow, that is a big question.
Hopefully many partnerships with like artists, bands, brands that we love. That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
Gabe?
I want to be multi-genre. Like
Yeah.
like that's my biggest thing. Like right now, like in our current forecast, I want to get to a point where we quickly build this train to do one release a month with a different artist musician collaboration. So that would only put us at 12 releases a year, which is not a lot. But if we can get a backlog, a pipeline of artists, in the schedule, I'd like to amp that to two artists a month, two releases a month, and not just particular pocket of genre. I want to see chiptunes, indie rock, indie dance, new disco, African funk, jazz, world beat. Like I want to be hip hop. I want to be multi genre purveyors of digital music via NFTs that is redeemable for physical media. Like that's where I see this going, and cross chain. Like we're obviously not targeting just being bound to Ethereum. I want this to be accessible on other networks and platforms as well. And I could also see it, like if we're on the 5-year timeline and we're having some success releasing artists through our platform, I could see this, evolving into a mobile app of some sort, wherein you can, see the repository of all of your Electro releases, etc. So, sky's the limit, and I'm sure there's a lot of later foresight that we're going to have once we've had some successes with subsequent releases. But yeah, that's at least the timeline and goals that I have in my head immediately.
Love it. Okay, so we got the next one popping up here. So let's see if we pull another cassette. Can we go 3, 4, 3? We can't, but I need to also turn on the audio. This is such a different vibe compared to the other ones. Ooh. It's a coffee. Oh, the coffee mug's rare. Okay, okay.
That's funny you pulled that one.
The ending on this stuff is so cool. Like, how do you like? Okay, can you? I don't know how to ask this. Like, how the hell do you come up with this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I know that it's generated, but some of the beats on it are just like they're so unique and cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just mostly like I wrote all the beats on my electronic drum kit, and then I just ran those through this NES cassette. I can actually hold on. You might be able to see my V drum kit over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just sit there on my V drum kit and just jam for hours, and then
Keil,
make
do you
loops
have
out of
the
this stuff.
NES cassette with you?
I don't actually. It's
Oh,
at my
damn.
house.
Okay.
My
I want
NES
to
is
see
set
this.
up at my house. I know. I'll show it to you next time we're on
Please
stream.
do. I think it's funny you pulled that song. That's one that I actually hum to myself. Like I have a list of my favorites in the collection, and the one you just pulled is one of my favorite melodies anyway. And I woke up this morning, I was humming it when I was getting dressed. It's pretty weird. And anyway,
That's amazing.
chip tunes on the brain.
Ryan's asking here, will the physical item cassette or vinyl play the song? And can I play it on a vinyl recorder?
I'm curious what he means by vinyl recorder, but the pressings will be a mix of songs. So we thought it would be kind of like not a great value if we only pressed one song to each pressing. So you're going to get like a nice selection of all the stuff that's in the collection. Keil has linked some other things that we're adding to the physical pressings. I don't know if you want to talk about that here. We haven't released a public statement, but if you're in our Discord, you've probably heard about it. I'll let you use your discretion if you want to share that, Keil.
Yeah, I'm
as
just
to
kind
what
of
else they'll get.
approaching some other artists in my realm and people that I'm a fan of for potential collaborations on some of the songs, whether it be acapellas or other things. But yeah, we're trying to make the physical release as special as possible, and hopefully just the songs will be cool and have some cool guest features.
Love it.
I see. He said, can I play it on a vinyl record player?
Yeah, sorry,
Absolutely.
my bad.
Yeah.
I slurred the word.
I misheard recorder. No, all good. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, these are real pressings. Yeah, you can listen to it in a cassette deck. You listen to it on an actual turn. I have my turntable over here spinning in the background, and below me is a crate of records, and I have another one in the living room. Like I'm a collector of physical media still, despite actually, giving a large percentage of my record collection to a DJ friend of mine because I got tired of lugging it about, due to various changes in my personal life. But no, I'm a collector, and we want these to be real neat physical goods that people people are excited to have.
We've got
and to
cool
listen to.
packages for like, or we've got cool ideas for the packaging, like colored vinyl and like fold
Yeah.
outs, maybe like some stickers. I don't know. The packages are gonna be
Prints.
fun and full of little
Yeah.
goodies.
Yeah, I'm big on the visual aspects too. Like, you can easily display a vinyl record on a mantle or even in a vinyl record frame, for example. But the cassette holders, right? It's a smaller object, so we're looking to have some larger things that are included with the cassette redeemables as well, that will have them excited to display or flip through something that gives you a larger visual representation in the physical world. So they're going to be pretty neat.
So I know that you guys mentioned that you were reaching out to kind of like bigger artists, but there's a guy in our chat, Caruso's Missing Hair, and he's actually somebody who's done a couple of like my audio tunes, and I think he's really, really talented. Are you guys looking at kind of like anyone smaller as well, or do you kind of set in your team right now and you're just looking for like kind of bigger collabs on stuff, or what's the motive?
A little
We're
bit
really
of both.
open to anything,
Yeah,
I'd say.
like
If we're a fan of something, it doesn't really matter if they are large or not. You know, if we
right.
like it and we believe in it, we're definitely open to collaborations with anyone.
And is there a
Absolutely.
best way to reach out to you guys regarding that?
Yeah, so we're gonna put a form on our site soon that allows people to submit like a whole package, like link us to your stuff, show us what you want us to see, that paints a picture of what you're capable of producing and what you'd even potentially like to produce with us. In the meantime, while we set that up, I've sort of been delaying that because we're putting into place our development timelines and roadmap and doing a lot of promo this week, obviously because we just launched. But soon you'll be able to go through our site and submit a mix of materials. But in the meantime, if you absolutely want to reach out to us now, just shoot us an email at admin@electrolabs.com or jump in the Discord, at me in the Discord, shoot us a DM. I'd love to take a look at it. I try to answer everyone's message if they get back to me. Sometimes when I'm on the computer, but shoot me a message and we'll take a look. So yeah.
Love it. All right, well, guys, I think that's about it for now. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Is there any last words you want to tell for some of the people? Because I know there's a ton that said that they own one or two and they're just kind of deciding what to do with them. So do you want to say anything to them?
Yeah, hang on to them, especially the redeemables. Like I do think, not that it's like all about secondary markets and things like that, but like there's a really fascinating secondary market phenomenon happening with like cassette tapes that sell on like Bandcamp Fridays, and people do limited releases of like vaporwave cassettes, and they just blow up. And we're trying to make like these really cool collectibles that our holders get that'll have sort of the same effect. Many people want to own them and keep them for themselves, like that sort of endowment effect. But just stay tuned. Like, we're gonna do cool stuff with the commons. There's going to be subsequent releases from the team. Stay locked into our Discord. We've got some giveaways coming too. We've got a few left in our giveaway batch that we'd like to give to our ardent supporters. We're going to be doing more parties. I know some of you showed up to our Crypto Voxel space. But the parties are fun, man. We had an absolute banger of a Crypto Voxels party. I thought we were going to break Crypto Voxels, but it did damn well. And
I think we broke the audio for a little while.
For
Like,
a
we
minute.
were streaming audio from our space and it started to take a dump like halfway through.
That being said, like, one of our devs noticed there was a Crypto Voxels employee or admin or someone that was there in the space with us, and we were wondering, like, did they up our throughput on the servers or something like that? Because then the audio issues stopped and the rest of the party was like smooth sailing. So we were thankful that they were in there with us. But
yeah, we love that project.
Yeah, and like, if you have ins on other teams that you think would like to do some collaborative efforts like that with us, hit them up. Like, we like our little virtual metaverse parties, but maybe we do a collab with another team that's looking to either get some exposure to the project, or maybe they have a musical element. We'd love to collab. We'd love to hear from them. So stay tuned. Those are my parting words. So,
all right. Any last words, Keil?
Yeah.
I don't have much to add to what Gabe said. Yeah, just join our Discord, and we've got some really cool stuff planned. And we can't wait to show you guys what we're working on.
Love it. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And hopefully we'll hear back and have you on again once you do the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm glad you pulled some cassettes today in the other epic. That was exciting to see.
Hell yeah, for sure, sure.
Thank you so much. Love your channel, by the way. And thank you again.
Hey, I appreciate it. All right, guys, enjoy. Okay, guys, listen, we're gonna do a giveaway, I think, for one of these Dreamloops here. Also, by the way, we keep plugging Caruso here. So if you guys know this song, we occasionally play it. This is why we all love Caruso's Missing